Hey guys, it's Tuesday here again, and today I want to take a moment to talk about something that's pretty near and dear to my own heart. If you live in Canada, you've probably noticed the commercials going around or the tweets being sent out and retweeted and retweeted and retweeted for Bell Let's Talk. If you're not from Canada and are unfamiliar with Bell Let's Talk, I'll give you a quick explanation. Bell Canada is a company that deals with television, internet, wireless phones, and I believe home lines as well, landlines. And today is Bell Let's Talk. And what that means is that Bell will donate 5 cents every time someone contracted with them sends a text message, or calls somebody, or calls someone long distance. Now, I'm sure you're all thinking, I'm not on Bell, but I want to help out. They'll also donate 5 cents every time somebody tweets with the hashtag #BellLet'sTalk. And they'll also donate 5 cents every single time their image is shared on Facebook. Now, I've explained to you what Bell Let's Talk is, but I haven't explained to you what they're donating money to. Bell Canada is donating 5 cents per everything that I mentioned to mental health initiatives. And mental health is what I want to talk about today. There's such a stigma when it comes to mental health, because when you tell somebody that you're sick with really anything else, they'll know right away that you're sick, and they'll understand it, and they'll respect it, and if they are religious, they might pray for you to get better. They'll be thinking about you, everything, so much support. But when you bring up mental illness, a lot of the times, people kind of freak out. And they freak out more when it's something along the lines of schizophrenia, as opposed to generalized anxiety disorder, because schizophrenia has been dragged through the mud in terms of how the media has portrayed people with schizophrenia. Now, I myself do not have schizophrenia, but I do suffer from other mental illnesses, and I'm not ashamed to talk about it. If somebody asks, I will tell them. A lot of the times, I'll even volunteer the fact that I suffer from mental illness if it means helping out somebody who might be going through what I had been going through before I sought help. So I said I volunteered the information. And just so you don't call me on it, I'll tell you right now. I suffer from moderate to severe depression brought on by my moderate to severe generalized anxiety disorder, and I also suffer from social anxiety. I am medicated for the depression, and I'm in therapy. Now, I know a lot of people who are anti-medication when it comes to mental illness. They think that you shouldn't take something that your body will become dependent on if you don't need it. Now, here's where I want to call BS. Because that would be like telling somebody who suffers from diabetes that they shouldn't inject themselves with insulin because their body will become dependent on it and they don't need it. They'll get sicker, they'll eventually probably be bedridden, and then they'll die without insulin. People who suffer from mental illness, whether it be generalized anxiety or whether it's paranoid schizophrenia, they need access to their medication. They need access to psychiatrists, to therapists. They need access. They need affordable access. And in Canada, it's there. I mean, when my insurance runs out near the end of the year, I have to pay for my prescriptions, not as much as they're worth, but I still have to pay for them nonetheless. My therapy is not cheap. And that's in Canada, where we have socialized healthcare and it's public. It's not private. In other countries where it's private, we see these people who are suffering from mental illness continuing to suffer because they can't afford to get their medication or to take a day off work to go talk to a doctor or to get therapy. And they don't take time out of their day to heal themselves because they can't afford it. And Bell Let's Talk donates 5 cents per every social media interaction to mental health initiatives in Canada. And that's awesome and beautiful, and I love it. But what I want to see is Bell Let's Talk go global. Because quite frankly, we need to get rid of the stigma that mental health and mental illness has. Am I sick? Absolutely. Am I ashamed of it? No. If I had any other sickness, would I be ashamed of that? Absolutely not. And there's no difference. Your brain is an organ. Every other part of you and every other organ gets to get sick without anybody judging you. But it's your brain that when it gets sick, people judge the person before they even understand what's going on. I sometimes don't show up to plans that I've made. I have to get up and convince myself that it's okay to leave my apartment to go to class at least 2 hours before I have to leave, because I need to work up the courage to get in an elevator, go down to the main floor, and walk to my university. I have to do the same thing when I have to go to my therapy appointments, and that's just taking a bus down the street, and that's to get help with it. And I have to work up the courage and the strength to do that. I have to get up and talk myself into going to class. And sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't. If you don't understand mental illness, and you know me, and you know that I sometimes don't go to class, or you don't see me for days because I haven't left my apartment, it's not because I'm lazy, and it's not because I don't want to see anybody or talk to you. You shouldn't take it personally. I don't want to see anyone or talk to anyone because I'm frustrated with myself because I wasn't strong enough to go to a class. And I'm getting help for it. And still, every day is a struggle to get up out of bed and go to class. And like I said, I'm medicated and I'm in therapy. What happens to the people who aren't medicated and who aren't in therapy because they're too scared to talk to their doctor because they don't want to be seen as weak or incapable of living like normal people live? What happens to the people who have gone to their doctor, but they can't afford medication or therapy because their insurance plans don't cover it, because mental illness and coverage for mental illness isn't seen as a priority in so many places? What happens to them? Odds are they won't even try to get out of bed because the thought of leaving their house or apartment, or sometimes even their bedroom, is terrifying. And they'll spend all day sitting at their kitchen table, staring at a wall, wishing that they could be normal like everybody else. And they'll ignore their phones. People will text them saying, "Hey man, what's going on? Where are you at?" And they won't respond. I do it, but they'll do it more because they don't have access. Bell Let's Talk is my favorite day of the year because it forces people to talk about it. I like to look at myself like this. To me, there's two parts to my brain. There's the healthy version of me, and there's the sick version of me. And for a long time, the healthy version was a little bit stronger than the sick version. As responsibility became more of a reality, I couldn't stand up to it anymore, and the healthy version of me let the sick version of me destroy it, or at least beat it down to the point where it doesn't want to fight anymore. The first time that happened to me was the very first time I told my mom that I think I need some help. And so I went to the doctor, and I was prescribed medication, and I've been on it ever since. The second time that happened to me, I could feel myself slipping again. I didn't want to get into that rut, and if you suffer from anxiety, depression, social anxiety, you know what I'm talking about. I didn't want to get stuck in that rut again. So I went to my doctor, and I got my meds adjusted. And then just this year, it was on a Wednesday, and I remember I called my mom at work, and I said, "How do you admit yourself to the psych ward?" That's not something that a healthy person calls and asks their parent how to admit themselves to the psych ward. Luckily for me, I didn't have to admit myself, and my parents came and they took me. So just this year, I had to go to the hospital and get evaluated and looked at because I genuinely, at that point in time, wanted to die. And again, I'm getting help for this. The people who aren't getting help for this don't have that little last bit of strength that it took to call somebody to help them. All they have strength to do is to end it